Our guest for today is Teacher Maita. Ano,
Hello.
actually, I met her, kailan ba? Pre-pandemic in a writers conference. And you had a booth there. But right now, um, we actually meet every week online
Actually,
to
ako yung
talk.
organizer nun.
Ikaw yung organizer nun. Actually, Teacher Maita is, yes, she's a teacher, she's a writer, she's a fashion designer, she's an artist. There's really a lot going on. And lately, I joined her art as therapy classes. And I saw how beautifully organized it was. It was really prepared in a very, very mindful way. That's why I invited her here so that she could also hear us her story. So let us all welcome Teacher Maita. Hi, Maita. How are
Hello.
you?
I'm okay. Thank you, Michelle. And you are welcome, and you are always welcome in joining Art as Therapy.
Sige, what keeps you busy right now? How are you? Saan mo madalas, where do you pour most of your energy?
At the moment, it's in teaching kids that
Oo.
takes up the bulk of my time ngayon, especially since the pandemic started. But prior to the pandemic, I was doing non-clinical art therapy in various areas and places in Metro Manila. Now I've moved here to Davao. Most of the art as therapy and teaching that I do happens online.
And it's still effective kahit na online siya.
Yes. Even, I mean, anyone can pick up a pencil to start to heal themselves through art. So the thing about art as therapy is you're not doing anything for them. You are guiding them to heal themselves through art.
It's beautiful. Pero you're expanding that kind of work na, 'di ba?
Yes, I'm thinking to expand it to the parents and fellow
Mm-mm.
teachers. Prior to this, kasi I really worked with kids. Prior to the pandemic, kids talaga are what I've worked with. I used to volunteer in ACAP Center for maybe more than a decade since it was still a Kariton project. hindi pa
Mm-mm.
hindi pa quite where it is right now, where it is talagang a permanent center. Back then, it didn't have a permanent address, but we go there once a week. Just paper lang with the kids. You start them with paper and a crayon. At first, you don't even have to tell them anything. You just give it to them, and then just allow them to express themselves. And sometimes that's enough to just put their hand on a crayon and just start something. You don't even need to interpret their work. You just let them.
It's
So
beautiful.
yeah,
What's the center again? This is the first time I'm hearing it. ACAP?
yeah, ACAP. So that's Action and Care for the Poor. It's in
Ah,
Sukat. They do have a Facebook page, ACAP Phil. That is the name. So you have to search it. And I think their website is acapphil.org.
so before becoming a teacher, you really identified yourself as an artist, as a creative.
As an artist, but I never called myself an art therapist before. But because I always like to do volunteer work ng ganon, it sort of developed. So hindi naman siya instant. At first noon, you just guide the kids, just let them express themselves. For some na talagang don't have materials, especially if you can see na oh may natural talent siya. So I will look for the resources for them, whether it's via me to teach them or get my friends to teach them. Pero what do they need? Oh, they need a sketch pad. Okay, I'll source fundraisers, things like that to get them what they need: canvases, paints, paint brushes, sketch pads, ruler, anything that they need to express. So for the kids then, especially yung mga matagal na sa center, they start with from just expressing their feelings into the canvas, and later it evolved to painting lifelike, or maybe sometimes medyo cartoony, basta stylized na siya. And then so my tita who owns the center, she regularly has a show as part of their fundraising campaign and promotions na rin for the kids. Nakikita yung mga kids na, hey, these kids have talent, and would you like to support this child by buying his painting? A painting can range for the smaller ones where we have canvases, somewhere about 800 to 1,000 pesos, yung mga maliliit na canvases that I get, the flat ones. So they donate, I think, 100 pesos to the center and the rest goes to the kid. So suddenly meron siyang income from that. So
Wow.
just something expressive, naging something income generating. So that's one of the programs that happens in ACAP Center. And then
Ang galing nun, ah.
while
Galing
doing
nun.
that naman din, na-invite ako. This one just happened purely by chance. They invited me in Marilac Hills. Marilac Hills is a DSW center for battered women, or in particular, battered young girls. So mga bata. But mostly girls na walang mapuntahan. Most of their abusers are their family. So in order to take them away from the family, they go there to Marilac Hills. It's in full capacity na. So if you guys get a chance to donate there, please do. I did writing naman as a form of expression. So when we were doing that, the usual thing that I do, ito lang, very simple, something that we can do in one day. I asked them to write their own version of Cinderella.
Wow.
That's it, just Cinderella. So I gave them the basic, what a Cinderella story entails. There's an inciting push, which is the ball. Somebody who will help them, which is a godmother, and then the ball itself. So you can see their not that I'm trying to interpret their work, because I'm not allowed to interpret their work, but I you could see the people who help them, like the people who help them escape the abusive life, gets mirrored into the Cinderella story. The happy ending that they choose is not necessarily marrying the prince and going away from a povertous life. It's not. They will see themselves as gaining an education, being successful in life. Doon mo nakikita na through this expression of creating their own Cinderella story, anong dreams nila in life, anong gusto nilang ma-achieve. It's not about marrying the prince. It's more like Cinderella standing up.
Galing. What made you inspired to go to this work? Kasi it also reminds me of my own story. Like, di ba, I do counseling right now, but a decade ago, I started just doing volunteer work. It's really talking to people. It's purely voluntary. And yet
It
here I
starts.
am right now, diba? And it's the same with you.
Yeah.
You started with volunteering, but
Yes.
what inspired you to really walk this path, to see this as the gift, as part of your calling, to be of service to others?
Well, that's part of it first. I've volunteered ever since I was in high school. At first noon, I volunteered in the local seminary kasi meron silang mga catechism for the young kids na pupunta doon. They get fed, they get showered. Street kids, nahihirapan sila mag-shower. So even in
Yes.
ACAP Center, they go there 3 times a week just to have a shower. Even that one, the act of just going there, getting a shower and getting something hot to eat actually changes their life already. So they feel
Yeah.
more at ease. And while they're waiting for their turn to shower, kasi sa center, there's only like 2 or 3 bathrooms lang. So one for the girls, one for the boys, pero they take turns. Imagine, dadagsain ka ng mga 150 kids. So
Wow.
kailangan take turns talaga yan. And then there's a social worker pa na turuan sila how to use the shower, because I'm not joking, some of them, they don't even know how to use the toilet. As in, they do it on the floor.
Yeah.
So the social worker has to come in and show them that here you sit here, you wipe this way. So we do work with social workers and meron ding mga psychologists who are also volunteers center. While they're waiting for their turn, that's when I do the art therapy. Kasi if they just sit there, they'll get bored. They'll
Yeah.
either go away or start doing something. And we need what's this? Kasi may license din itong ACAP center. So it's not anything na fly by night. There is certain rules that they have to adhere to based on I think the DSWD. So there are social workers from DSWD also checking up on them. So we have to maintain a very
Mm-mm.
orderly center. So for the kids to wait, especially, can you imagine little kids, di ba, Papa, wait mo? And it might
Yeah.
take an hour before it's their turn to have a shower.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Okay.
and then it's supposed to be shower first, and then you get something to eat. So while we're
All
waiting,
right.
para mawash na yung kamay and hygiene, teaching them
Mm-mm.
hygiene. While we're waiting, then volunteers, I'm not the only one who volunteer. We have a lot of volunteers in doon. We sit down with them, we give them paper, and then there's this box of crayon, lalagay namin sa harapan nila. Oh, would you like to draw some? Of course, Tagalog. Gusto mong mag-draw tayo muna? Anong gusto mong i-draw? And then you just leave them. Sometimes they can't think of any. So you tell them, oh, why don't you draw mommy, daddy? Or, oh, let's draw the rainbow. And then, doon na mag-start. It starts there. It starts as simple as that. Once in a while, may kita mo, some people do advance quicker kasi may natural talents so this na. Then they graduate to another room where they can use paint this time. And then we sit down with them then to show them this is how you stroke. See, if you stroke evenly, ganito mangyari, and then
Oo.
it's gonna those who can graduate to canvas actually can already make money out of that. So we only reserve the canvases for those that shows talent.
Mm.
Tapos
Grabe. Pero alam mo, kasi the way you tell this story, it's really very engaging, and it is amazing, um beautifully done, of course, ng mga organizers, including the volunteers. But of course, this is also part of the harsh realities of life, and sometimes it can be draining pag nakikita mo how sad their situations are at home. Despite that, you still continue to do this kind of work, and it evolve eventually, di ba? Where do you find your energy then to continue this path?
I find that if I work with kids, hindi na nauubusan ng pasensya. I
Oh,
don't know
really? Oh
why.
my God.
Yes.
Yan
If I
talaga
work
ang
with
ano mo. Yan
kids,
talaga ang
what's
ministry
this?
mo.
Street kids, kids na here where I teach right now. I teach in an online school who is based in Cubao, but all our kids are all over the world.
Mm-mm.
I don't lose patience with kids. That's what I find. Um, if I work with them, any walk of life. Kasi di ba, I've been volunteering since I was high school. So I'm used to dealing with all types of kids, whether they're in the depressed area or they're in cushy mansions.
Mm.
Um, I find that I have patience for this, especially when we start touching the canvas and you start letting them talagang express themselves. Nawawala lahat nun. I don't find it draining. So like in my art therapy sessions, even the one online, it's supposed to be scheduled only for 1 hour, pero we kind of extend even half an hour more. That's okay. I don't find it draining. Yung parents na nakaka-drain.
Oo.
But
Well,
for
iba
kids
naman
talaga na.
kasi talaga.
Yeah, yeah.
Pero pero when you look at it in hindsight, what's a major transformation that happened in your life as you walk this path?
Feel ko talaga, when I'm helping, doon ako nabibless eh. I feel more fulfilled. Do you have that feeling when nothing in your life is going right, like what you want it to be right? Not that it's wrong, it's just not how you want it. Because sometimes you have dreams. We want itong mangyari, we want this. It doesn't happen that way, circumstances. But the moment I help others, I teach, I do the art therapy, all of those parang doesn't matter. It's just talagang when you're helping, you feel like very fulfilled. So, blessing din tong aking pagiging art therapist, actually. So, about 4 years ago, I developed depressive symptoms. Hindi pa siya full-blown, but it was going there. So, I ran to UST kasi, oh my gosh, I might be depressed. I'm not, but I have anxiety daw. But anyways, because
Na-diagnose ka tuloy, ayan.
o nga eh. Sabi niya yung mga symptoms mong ganyan, that is a manifestation of being anxiety, but then that's all childhood trauma and stuff like that. So I live with it.
Mhm.
But because of my training, na-realize ko yung symptoms kagad.
Mm.
And I ran to UST kagad. So, ang hirap makahanap ng ano, and even that time, that was pre-pandemic, nahirapan na maghanap ng psychologist, nahirapan na, buti na lang may UST. I ran there, and then so they sat down with me, and then nagka-COVID, and then they worked with me even through COVID via Zoom.
Mm.
And they're like, there's only two ways to happen here. If I don't work on this on my own, it might turn into talagang full-blown depression, in which case you will start to be medicated. Ako takot ako sa gamot. I
Yeah.
am so scared of needles, and I hate taking medicines. Even yung mga supplements I'm supposed to take, nakakalimutan kong i-take. So natakot ako when the moment she said medication. Oh my gosh, I don't like that term.
Oo.
So I was using my training as an art therapist. Usually you don't self-treat yourself. It it is not kasi hindi ka ano eh, hindi ka fair sa sarili mo.
Oo, ano,
So
mawawala yung bias eh, or yung detachment.
yes, there is bias, there's ano, and there's some aspects that you cannot see because yung
Yeah,
parang
you're
you need a
alone eh.
mirror to see. Yeah, yes.
Kailangan maging objective talaga.
Yes, you're not objective then. That's when Glenda came in.
Mm.
And then as we were talking and she helped me through it, and then I started to draw again because that time when I started my depression, actually, I cannot write. As in, I would just stare at Microsoft Word blank. I just can't write. I can edit, but I cannot write from scratch. Talagang my mind is somewhere. It feels like there's like a fog in your brain that you just cannot find it. I can't even ano to yung diba, every new year or just before Christmas, you start to do your short-term goals, long-term goals, yung mga ganon. I could not think of it during that time in my life. Talagang if somebody were to ask me, I'd either burst into tears or bite their head off. And then yun nga, Glenda started to work with me. One thing I was happy with, I can still paint. So, ano mang magawa ko ngayong pandemic, I started to paint. I painted this four-meter mural on my bed, on my living room, here in my apartment. And then I painted the whole bathroom. Something very, very simple lang. I thought I will paint a coral scene based on Davao. The coral scenes there. That's it. And I did it. And yeah, yung namatay ang aking baby girl, my doggy. That's what I did then. Nagkulong ako sa isang kwarto. We have an extra apartment kasi upstairs, which we're trying to rent out. The previous tenant made a mess of it. And I decided, you know what? Para matago tong mga chips on the wall. Even if I put like filler, wood filler, yung mga fillers, ganon, may kita mo pa rin yung outline.
Oo, syempre. Iba kasi yung original with the filler.
Yeah. And no matter what we do, there's if you leave it solid, tapos light color siya, may kita mo konti, and naiinis ako doon. And that time, yung talagang a few days after my baby went to heaven, I went in there with my paints. I started to paint. As in, I painted the whole wall. And
maganda nga yun when you posted it in your social media.
I find it very therapeutic. it's talagang releasing your emotion. Eh. So you pick colors that you feel like would really, talagang what colors are you feeling inside? So that's the first thing I do with art in therapy, especially if first time ko hawakan yung kid. Usually you deal with colors first. You address like, okay, when you're angry, anong color representing yon? When you're sad, what color represents that? When you're happy, what color represents that? Because each person will be different. Red could be not the color of anger for them. It could be black, could be white because they feel blank and empty. So that is the reason why the first thing I do is address what color they feel angry is. Could be yellow, di ba? Kasi bright. So after that, then we will tackle other things. But first things first, color talaga first. So when I paint, ganun din. I pick out the colors. What am I feeling? Orange, yellow, green, blue. Okay, so if this is the color that I've chosen, this is what I'll work with. And just let your imagination fly.
Oh, okay. Ganun pala siya.
Wala
So
ka sa
it's
first session pa
art,
eh.
art is a way to release
Yes.
mga emotions.
Not just emotions, other things. Kasi the art therapy, or in my case, I call it art as therapy because it's non-clinical work. There's so many things to release, not just emotions. It could be expression. It could be trying to delve deep. Ano bang nasa isip ko? What is that something that I cannot express in words that perhaps I can express in
Oh,
colors,
yeah, colors are in
shapes?
art. Ano yung pinaka-important lessons that you have learned?
For me is never stop creating. Never stop at all. Even if you are feeling down, even if you are feeling, parang there are these days when you feel so yucky inside.
Mm-hmm.
Hindi mo ma-express what it is. You're irritable. Just stop, pause for a moment, get your sketchbook. Even if you just splash colors on it, perhaps that's a way to talagang empty out. What do you feel? So colors first. Kung hindi color, maybe you can take a Sharpie and just do intuitive drawing, which is you just take your pen and your finger or your hands down to the sketchbook and just let it go.
Oo.
Sometimes you will do scribbles. Sometimes you will just do parang like a ball of yarn. But maybe that's a way for you to ease your tension. Maybe that's all you need. Because sometimes that's enough. Eh.
Oo.
By the way, I call it art as therapy because some people have this wrong misconception on what art therapy is. Pwede kong masabi to your audience?
Oo naman, sige, share.
Um, just to give everyone a background, I do non-clinical art therapy. That is the reason why I call it art as therapy. So it's using art as a therapeutic tool. When you say kasi art as art therapy, for most countries, mostly Western countries, they will require you to have a license or be a psychologist. So not all psychologists are artists. So for the psychologists who are artists, they can practice art therapy. For others naman, they
Okay.
need a license. For our country here, wala pa naman tayong ganyan. We don't need
Oo nga.
licenses and stuff.
Oo.
But I want to point out that the things that we see on TV actually
Not
doesn't happen
necessarily
on
true.
real life. Yes.
Yeah.
The ones where you see yung scenario, detective scene. There's either a detective, a doctor, or a teacher, and then makita niya yung bata, there's painting a knife, a blood, something, ganyan, a gory scene. And suddenly that teacher or that grown up will like, oh my gosh, this child is abused or may trauma tong bata to. That doesn't happen. I just want you guys to know that is not what we do in art therapy. Okay. If the child develops symptoms and then you want to see if something happened, if that child has a hard time telling you in words, what more can, drawing a knife and things like that express? When we do that art we're actually trying to calm the child down, not let them relive the trauma. So yung mga nakikita natin sa TV na, oh my gosh, this child is abused. No, that is not art therapy. That is not what we're
Yeah.
trying to do.
Oo. Actually, it's also the same with counseling. It's not really for them to relive the trauma. It's for them to be more comfortable, to be more at peace, diba? And to, ano, in whatever way, kung paano nila makuha yung peace na yon. So it's through talk, but not reliving the trauma. Unless ready na
Yes.
talaga to really talk about it. Pero most likely, yung mga first, hindi naman agad-agad. Unless talagang ready na yung person to open up about it. But what I love about you said, yung pag talagang sad na sad or basta may nangyayari na hindi okay, just continue to be creative. Just continue to work on it, to do something. Actually, totoo yun. I find that very effective. Kasi when you feel, even ako naman, may instances when I feel I'm stuck. Ayoko gumalaw at all. Kasi no movements whatsoever. I just want to either stay in bed or stay in my lazy seat, ganyan, and then just stare into space. But that's not really productive. And it's important to keep on moving. And of course, for Maita's, from Maita's point of view, yung moving is creating. Kasi yun talaga yung core niya eh. How she moves um yung mga energies na stuck inside. So that's something that I can really resonate with. So thank you for sharing that. Yung tama yon. Gumalaw. In
You're
whatever way.
welcome.
In whatever way, 'di ba?
Yes.
Minsan nga kahit exercise, galaw na yon eh. And it really helps. It really helps kahit na exercise lang or dancing.
It also helps na ano, if even if you don't feel anything pa, like you don't think wala kang depression, wala kang anything like that, start with art therapy na. That's what I can ano, or start painting, join an art class, something, especially if you are inclined towards the arts. Huwag na nating antayin, di ba? Na
Mm-mm.
something will happen to us, because right now, because of our current climate, either climate change or pandemic stress, marami talagang nakaka-trigger ngayon pa lang. Padami na padami ang mga may symptoms dyan because of pandemic stress. And then ngayon, because of sa news, di ba nakikita natin, oh, climate change, that. Yes, it's very concerning. But can you imagine, especially to a child, what that feels like? It can get overwhelming. So parents, teachers out there, I would suggest that we start them early. Um, as I said, sa akin, I didn't have any problem until like 4 years ago. And it really helped. I was already involved in this line of business. I was able to, parang kumbaga, naagapan. Naagapan before anything were to happen. So
Oo.
think
Become it
of art
even
as therapy
worsens.
more like, yeah, yeah. So think of art as therapy more like vitamins. So don't wait till the last minute and treat it as medicine. Art therapy does not work like that.
Oo. To cap it off, what message could you share so that others could also work on their passion? Diba? Kung meron man silang calling or meron silang parang there's an invitation to lead a more meaningful life. What
For
message
those
could you
who
share?
for those who have passion in especially something artistic, you will find that there are signs all around you pushing you towards that direction. So don't stop yourself. As I said, keep doing something, keep creating, keep doing art. If you're an artist, if you're a potter, make some jars. Do something. If you're passionate about it, do something. Put yourself a schedule if you have to, and then you can see that there are signs talagang pointing you towards that direction. So everything in my life talagang points towards something artistic, whether it's in writing or it's in drawing, painting, even fashion. they're all talagang towards art. So don't stop.
Thank you so much, Maita. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this. And of course, to the favored ones,
Welcome.
whether you're watching this live or the replay, I hope that this has also blessed you. And I'll share details on Teacher Maita's Art as Therapy sessions. And ano pa ba? Mga page mo. Ang
Yes.
dami mo kasing page eh. Meron ka pa yung para sa author, di ba? As a writer. And then
Yes, I've
there's
separated my
there's
my
really a lot going
pero ito
on
na lang,
in
the
Teacher
teacher,
Maita's life.
the teacher Maita na lang na na Facebook.
Ah,
For
sige.
those who are thinking of going into art as therapy, I have my next cycle for kids. The one for kids, the next cycle will be first week of November. So ngayon kasi we're in the middle of it na. So if you want to join the November cycle, that's early, the first week of November, it starts there. And for yung sa parents, it might start that time din. So I'm gonna separate one for adults. It's a very particular art as therapy. It is for adults, so that's parents, guardians, teachers, admin, anyone who holds kids. That part of art therapy is very specialized. Basically,
Mm-mm.
it's for those who handle kids. Kasi even they need ano din, art as therapy. So as I
Sige.
said, ngayon pa
Interested ako
lang,
dyan.
ngayon pa lang.
Natutuwa nga ako yung for kids eh. Paano pa yung for, for mothers or for teachers
Yeah.
and other therapists out there.
Yes.
Okay.
I will
So
invite
thank
you
you
to
so
that. Don't
much.
worry.
I'll update the
All
community
right.
pag pag meron ng lumabas na anything about it. All right? Actually, I'm looking forward to it and I have a few in
Alrighty.
mind whom to invite. But God bless,
Yes.
Maita. Thank you so much for your time
Thank
and
you.
thank
Thank
you for
you.
gracing us with your presence. I love it. And thank you also for sharing the personal stories, especially when your baby girl passed away. I know it's really, really tough. And how you coped with it, it's also through art. So, ano,
Yes.
iba talaga. Iba ang journey ng bawat tao. But thank you for sharing this little snippet of your life. Okay, so God bless everyone. Take care. And
Thank
actually,
you.
pa-end na ang season na ito ng Soul Talk. By November, we're starting something new. But I'll make an announcement about it soon when the schedule is already laid out. But thank you once again, everyone, and of course, God bless.